Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wicked Bee of the West YouTube channel. My name is Stephanie Diana Eubank. I'm a doctoral candidate at Concordia University of Chicago, and I teach operational management at Stan State University. So I want to go over a really interesting phenomenon and annoyance that I'm sure everybody has dealt with, whether you're in person, remote, or hybrid. And that is the endless, nonstop, constant meetings. And I don't know about you, especially towards the end of the year. And as we get towards tax season and everybody's trying to prep for whether there's layoffs, new hires, etc., it feels like everybody is, or every management team is just pretending like they're Oprah, like, you get a meeting, you get a meeting, everybody gets a meeting. And it's nonstop meetings that could have been emails. And this is a really interesting phenomenon that has been borrowed from old school practices of in-person predominant modality in work, where basically, as a kind of scam to make yourself seem relevant when you aren't, you schedule a lot of meetings to show off any sort of level of production you may or may not be having to try to justify the existence of you or your job or your title. Remote work is a really interesting phenomenon where we basically don't need any of that. It's just a lot of emotional masking that doesn't need to be happening. In remote work, there are easy ways to quantify and show off your work in both qualitative and quantitative methodologies that can replace these constant meetings that are being made for that purpose specifically, such as organizing Zoom meetings with your manager or other leadership to just give quick updates on your projects, making time with your specific manager and maybe the one above them to discuss your contributions and how you can develop skills, how you can better contribute to the organization, other projects you can join, developing more challenges for you, etc. But those are things that you can work with HR also on. And these are all basic concepts that should have been covered on day one at your employment. Making time with your team members to have a group lunch Zoom, I've found is actually really effective for team bonding, especially in a remote paradigm, and helps with the social isolation and stress from that some remote workers have. But it also is a great opportunity to bond with your team and go, hey, I've been working on this particular skill set or this particular program lately. Oh, you're working on a project with that. Do you want me to chip in and help out? I might be a great resource. And that way you're building more collaboration within your organization, both advocating for yourself and collaborating with your team and developing a broader base of skill sets. Also, one that I've actually found is a great way to do what I call CYOB, cover your own bum, is keeping a spreadsheet of the work you're doing each day. This is a great thing that you're able to send over weekly, monthly, whatever you talk to your manager of, here is what I've been doing. And this is often done because a lot of software systems, like in finance, they will track which files you've been in for the day, and it'll show you've only touched 3 files, but they're not tracking how many times you've had to, because they've been a difficult file or one that you've had to go round and round and round and round with everybody to try and coordinate additional stuff needed to get the project done. This being said, because management generally isn't tracking all the emails or additional notes that are in the file, notations that are um, basically building and would give you qualified data or qualitative data. They're only looking at the quantitative because it's easier to break down into exact numbers. And it's lazy, it's easy, and it's why management does that and why they use that to manage and evaluate productivity. Keeping a spreadsheet showing how often and why, and having the emails to back it up, helps you not only be able to validate your experience with HR to help cultivate better planning for new skills or trainings, etc., but also helps management show, Oh, no, you actually are contributing a lot, and we need to sit and see where we can help support you to address these issues so that way they don't keep spiraling and hurting your overall productivity. This is a great way to communicate and be able to show your problem solving and making sure you're looping in all of leadership. But on top of it, it shows your value and the work you're doing. And it's a great way, again, CYOB, cover your own bum. But we also see a lot of constructs where management is holding meetings because, especially with remote and hybrid work, they feel there needs to be more synergy. That's BS. They just want to be able to have that old school feeling as if you're there in the office, which is understandable. Some leaders have not adapted to it, some leaders aren't going to adapt to it. And this is their way of trying to meet in the middle, which is great. At least they're trying. But there are ways in which that this is actually turning off and creating disengagement within your workforce. Specifically, when you have constant all hands meetings or call out meetings, whatever you want to call it, every single day, and it takes more than 30 minutes to an hour or more, that actually is cutting into your productivity management. There is no need for everybody to be present for every kind of call out meeting like that to happen quite so frequently. And if you're needing to do that, that shows that you have a lack in understanding from leadership, not a lack of understanding for your whole teams, because none of that should be happening, period. If you're having to do that, that's overkill. Setting clear agendas and boundaries for time is a great way to better allocate the time. Also, making it known who needs to be there, who's pivotal, who's not, and recording the meetings so that you can share them with anybody who just couldn't make it for whatever reason. This helps show more collective contributions to your team and is better about keeping everybody on the same page versus having meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. Actually giving your team the ability to have time to get work done. Shocking. Giving meetings with leadership specifically. Now, if you're operating an organization that has uh, a ladder design, which means you have a specific leadership tree or a specific chain of command, as my husband likes to say, versus a flat leadership plan, which is where you have shared leadership or everybody basically on the same level and constant communication with everybody from the bottom up, which is more of a Kaizen methodology, but also really breeds into remote work, because in remote work, we see a kind of death of middle management as we move into more of a shared leadership paradigm where there's no defined work or defined managers. Everybody is in the trenches, everybody's doing work. But that is a TED Talk for another day. Today, we're just focusing on meetings and whether or not they can be productive or can be redesigned to be more influential to your teams and give your teams room to be more productive. If you set these appropriate boundaries, and also there's a wonderful way that I've found with meetings that can be emails, but they end up being really long, drawn out emails. Pre-record a video going over each bullet point, but be prepared and have a forum for questions. This way, it makes it so that people who are more visual are able to gain the material, and those who are more of auditory learners can still gain the material as well. It also, again, allows for documentation of this is what was discussed, this is how we want to do it, so that everybody is on the same page. And it's a great way to kind of meet in the middle and not have all these constant meeting after meeting after meeting, sucking up all your time. Oh, I love that. My alarm went off and it gave the best example of timing. That's all I have for today. Remember, sharing is caring. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe. And remember, as always, remote work, it's here to stay.